I'm back with another fantasy map drawing tutorial. In my last video, I went over drawing a two-dimensional Elven Palace landmark icon. Today, we're going to go over drawing a more isometric, three-dimensional Elven Palace that you could use for your next fantasy map. All right, let's go sketch. To get things started, I'm going to use a ruler and lay out some of the guidelines for the structure. After laying the guidelines out for the front and the back wall of this palace, I create the center mark. It's going to be sort of the middle center line of this sketch. Then I draw out the sides on a bit of a diagonal. Again, keeping in mind perspective and the viewing angle. Now I'm going to be working on the palace walls. So I'm going to figure out a nice height that I like and draw those lines out, following those guidelines that are going to act as the base of our palace walls. After I get the front and the back wall, we just need to connect the pieces here with a diagonal line. Now let's rough out our towers. So let's lay down some guidelines. I used my ruler to mark out some of the horizontal lines that I need for my towers, the tops and the base of my towers. I also rough out a vertical line through the center, mainly to keep the peaked roof as centered as possible. I also taper in these tower walls, kind of give them sort of a vertical concave wall. Those tapered concave walls are going to be an aesthetic theme throughout this drawing. Now for the roofs of our towers, I'm going with sort of a cone-shaped roof. And once we're happy with the general outline of our rooftop, I'm going to go in and add in that convex curve that's going to be a theme throughout this. And also continuing to erase any guidelines that might get in the way. Because we're going with an isometric, three-dimensional sort of look here, my next move is I'm going to round out some of these horizontal lines. Because this tower is like a cylinder, I need to round out a bunch of these straight horizontal lines. So that's what I'm going through and doing. Down at the base of the tower, the base of the rooftops, so it looks more three-dimensional with the perspective angle. Now let's work on our gate, and we're going to build that off of that center guideline that I had made earlier. That's our center mark, so let's have that be the center point of our gate. I'm also going to add a couple of watchtowers right at the gate here. These are going to be smaller, but they are going to follow a very similar design to the larger towers we just did. Except I'm going to add in a bit of a balcony here just below the rooftop. And then I go through and I'm going to round out all those lines again because these towers are shaped like cylinders. A bunch of the horizontal lines, they need to be rounded when viewed from this perspective. We're trying to just add in some ornate detail here. So that's why you see I'm sort of doing that peak top to the gate, as well as some interesting shapes down at the base of the tower walls. I think all this stuff sort of adds to the elven aesthetic. Now let's move on to some of the structures within the palace walls. I'm going to be going through these in a very similar structure to what I did with some of these towers. Cylinder shapes with these coned rooftops and rounding them out at the bottom due to the isometric perspective. And we're concaving certain areas like some of the rooftops, some of the tower walls, but we're keeping this general elven visual theme. And on these couple structures, I'm doing this sort of tiered double coned rooftop thing. I think it looks really cool and again, fits the theme. Now let's work on the towers of our back wall. These are going to be identical to the front two towers that we started with, except we'll be drawing them a bit smaller. Again, because of this view angle, they'll be in the distance and therefore visually smaller. And much like the first time through, I just lay out a few simple guidelines to keep things balanced and symmetrical while I work in tandem laying out these towers. And once I'm happy with those, I'm going to move on to some of the background buildings on this right side of the palace, keeping in mind what's in the foreground and what's going to be in the background. So obviously anything that I draw within the walls of this palace are going to be in front of those two back towers. So we're just keeping in mind the layers and what is being obscured and what is not. So I'm just thinking of different and interesting designs for structures within the palace walls. Something to keep it dynamic and varied, but also cohesive in theme. Mostly just different rooftops and multi-tiered towers. At the center of the city though, this is going to be the main landmark. And I'm going with a classic elven tree at the heart of this palace. So I'm starting with the trunk and then I work my way up through to the branches. Just making sort of chaotic scribbles that sort of create different bunches of leaves in the foreground and the background of the canopy of this tree. After that, I'm going to focus on a more typical sort of building structure here. Less of the coned roof and something of a more peaked rooftop. I also added in this sort of small U-shaped texture along the rooftop to give it sort of the U-shaped shingle look, which to me is a very medieval fantasy looking rooftop. But then from there, I'm carrying on with some more tower designs with cylindrical shape and the coned rooftops. Here I'm thinking about how I'm going to fill in some of these gaps, and I decided on a bit of a roadway that's going to lead from the gate to the elven tree and throughout the area from there, and filling in the rest with some more structures, trying to create some variety and uniqueness to every structure I put in. And as I work my way towards the back, I'm trying to keep the structures smaller, again, keeping perspective in mind. So I'm just drawing in some small structured shapes and using my ruler to help me along the way. And that's looking pretty full inside the palace walls. So I'm moving on to a little bit of foliage around the outside of the palace. Just my typical tree and forest shapes here to pull this whole landmark together. I'm feeling really good about this layout. I'm happy with everything that we put down in here. Let's make it permanent with some ink. right, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and like and comment on this video if you like what you see. And don't forget to let me know what would be helpful for you and what I could draw next. All right, until next time.